So another match from the DreamHack Valencia Group Stages. I decided to watch the next Scarlett game. So in the bottom left is going to be Scarlett, the Zag player in the red. Against Drogo in the top right, blue Protoss player. Game one of a best of three. This would be... it's kind of weird, I guess, because it's not quite an elimination match. Usually you would call this the elimination match from the group, but in DreamHack there's a knockout bracket, so when you get knocked out of these groups, you actually have yet another chance, and basically you have to lose like 3 times to be knocked out of DreamHack. So obviously that would be like twice in the group stage, and then you like, lose 1 time in the knockout bracket, and that is when you are knocked out, or then in the playoffs, right? So yeah, there's a few different ways to make your way to the playoffs, basically. And, these guys are looking to try and stay in the groups. And like I say, this will be best of 3. So let's see what happens. Yeah, this group in general was pretty fun. Drogo was like, man, so glad I did so well in my group stage 2 to get into this nice group, and it was Scarlett, Mauer, and Hero. Now, this group was so good, I believe we covered the winners and decider match on the main stream. I wonder what this said. I just want to say. My in-ears were the wrong ear. They're the wrong way around. That's funny. Scott's like, how does that happen? I was wondering what happened for it to be like, how does that happen, you know? So yeah, just a quick mention, I guess, because it'll probably be a fresh YouTube video. Need those videos. I do have COVID right now, guys, so if I do randomly go quiet or anything throughout the course of the match, I apologize. I don't feel great right now. I feel a lot better than I did the last couple of days, but definitely still nowhere near 100%. But gotta get those A streaming hours in and be some YouTube videos made, because I do not have any YouTube videos for next week. And, in theory, if I test negative from COVID in time, I'm going to Home Story Cup, and if that happens, then I need to have a bunch of videos banked up to try and get us through the entire thing, so fingers potentially crossed. A, I can go, and B, we can make enough games, or cast enough games to fill up YouTube uploads, you know? And yo, thank you, Siri, for the 7-month resub, half an eternity already, hell yeah. Thank you so much. And Barry BP on the Prime for the 11 months, welcome back. Thank you so much for supporting as well. Adept gets in for, well, a single Zergling so far. The other Ling gonna fight that, and the Adept does shade on out of there. It's gonna be having the Oracle opening here from Drogo to begin things with here on Odyssey. So that's gonna be our starting point for this game. Number 1, bit of an Oracle play. Let's see where we go from there. We're going to go into Oracle number 2 as well, which does tell us a little bit more about what Drogo could be up to. Obviously, typically, we are expecting to see something along the lines of Triple Oracle nowadays. Triple Oracle is very popular, especially for those Blink Stalker plays, because Stalkers are not good against a lot of Lings, but the Oracles are, so having 3 Oracles really gives you a lot of safety there, and just gives you a lot of control and stuff, and so on and so forth, so... Going to see a couple of gates going morphed in. We are just going to cut 2 Oracles from now, and Scarlett is going to play a melee upgrade. There is another Oracle. Okay, perfect. Like I say, I think that's just kind of normal, and especially as you see melee, it's going to be quite good for PtitDrogo as well. It's going to come through, and we're going to find ourselves 1, 2, 3 drones already, so that's really good damage as well. Really nicely done with those couple of Oracles, so job very well done. We drop a Twilight and a Forge. Now we do start to look towards, hey, let's get some Blink up, right? Let's get some Stalkers on the map, and let's get those active. Let's get some, get those underway. Worth mentioning, by the way, I mean, everyone's very familiar with Scar, and I imagine a lot of people familiar with Drogo, but Drogo is not officially, like, full-time right now. He's still playing in events, he's still going to travel to tournaments and stuff, but I don't believe he's, like, aiming to, like, practice full-time stuff. He's taking some time out for himself. I don't think he necessarily retired. But he's not fully focused on StarCraft 2 at the moment. I think maybe just intends to come back at a different point, perhaps. Or maybe just see how things go for a little while. A lot of potential reasons, right? But just a little mention there as well. I don't think PtitDrogo's being sat kind of like grinding 10 hours a day trying to practice for the event coming into this and stuff as well, right? So just gonna see how late. I'm just gonna be trying to see what's going on. But not gonna find too much just yet. A few of them still looking to move on up to the top as they want to try and get in. I'm gonna see one probe going down immediately. Charge +1. Temple Archives, all of that continuing up from PtitDrogo at the moment. The Immortal production starting as well. So PtitDrogo bringing that Immortal into play. A couple of assimilators coming online. And it's going to be having the lair about to finish from Scarlett in the main base. There's that extra Lings and Overlords all just continue to pour on out. It's quite a lot of Overlords, so either just getting supply blocked and trying to make sure you never get supply blocked again, or maybe freeing up a lot of supply to just go kind of unit crazy. Usually that happens when you have like a roach style and you're aiming for like a big roach attack. You're like, oh, I'm going to make like 40 free supply because when I'm spamming roaches, that's going to fill up very quickly. It's obviously not quite the case here or anything, but you never know. Right, Bean. This feeling's going to get wrapped around on first a few adepts and then a few of these zealots. One adept, two zealots going down. All nice catches. I'm just going to see these things pull back over the right-hand side. Grab a probe. The Immortal and Zealots aren't going to be able to fight them off across the map. The Oracle's still active, looking to try and do whatever they can, but hard to say they've been overly kind of crazy this game. They've got, 9 kills between the 3 of them, and a lot of those are just kind of lings from here and there. There's 7 drones in total, which is not bad, but obviously with Triple Oracle it sometimes can be a lot worse as well. Storm's about to finish from Drogo, by the way, so that'll be completing soon as a couple of Banes end up being cancelled. Oracle's still moving down to the bottom and looks like they might turn into this base. Scarlett knows it. The drones have already backed away until the Spore Crawl is done. Unfortunately, reinforcing drones never got the memo in time, so while the drones that were already there kept themselves safe, the new drones still create a target for 3 kills to be killed off. 3 drones to be killed off. And now we've got a march of Overlords that are going to expose themselves on the other side. The Prism here will be able to save some of these Zealots and take them elsewhere, or maybe just save them for later. A couple options should present themselves there, as like I say, these Overlords unfortunately are a bit of a donation, and Scarlett has to start up a whole bunch of Overlords, knowing she's going to lose a few, and she was already starting to be in need of a couple more anyway. So yeah, just getting to be expensive. For now, these 2 survive, but we'll see if Drogo wants to track on the creep to try and get the kills on them, because it's not an impossible thing to do. Just walk onto like the very edge of creep to try and grab that. I'd say that's a very doable little something if you want to try and make that play. Overlord speed plus team melee and Baneling speed all continuing out right now. Just going to start knocking their way through a set of rocks for the moment, so just going to try and open that up a little bit. We do have Zealots trying to get onto this hatchery here on this left-hand side. Well, more Lings going to come over. Now we're going to get rid of just one of those Zealots, as we have a Spore Crawler going to be placed down on the far left. Cell upgrade continuing through. We do knock down a gateway at the front, and just going to be seeing these couple of Ovies going to load up. 8 Banelings. Let's just have these other Banes going to go and press on forward. Through they go. Oh, that wasn't a wall on the top side. Not that it really would have mattered too much. 10 probes going down. We're going to crack down the pylon there as well and power some of the stack defense. Not too bad. There's a lot of Banes, so only 10 probes doesn't feel horrendous. Feels manageable, at least for Drogo, who is coming with a pretty stellar army at the moment. Trying to push forward and make something happen here. More Banes morphing in defensively. Letting Roach try and stand and fight here. 1 Oracle already going down. The Storm drops onto a group of Zealots. A few Banes trying to chase away the High Templar. That's a lot of Archons. I think Scarlett's in a lot of trouble here, because right now these Archons I don't feel like should die. And she's just sent so many Banes across the map, and again they did okay damage, but I wouldn't say it was amazing damage, and it's not stopping this army from from just coming across and killing it. And that's his Scarlett's issue at the moment. These Archons, Immortals are so difficult to kill. Attack is so valuable for a Protoss player. It's another nice drop in with Banes. At least Scarlett gets 27 probes on the kill count now, so Drogo is pretty much all in with his attack, but I don't know how worried I am for him about that. That was a great storm on those Morphing Banes. They then finished. Continue to take damage, and the Archon shots just got rid of them before they ate the splash a lot of the time there. So that was great. Another hatchery of Scarlett going down. Just got to dodge those biles. This unit's force from Drogo isn't endless, right? You know, a lot of those units are very much so kind of low HP, and if they die, they're not really replaceable with the low economy. So Drogo has to make the absolute most out of all of these units and probably micro them to the very end, but fortunately they are very microable units with the Warp Prism, and that is just going to be GG's anyways. That is Drogo taking the 1-0 lead over Scarlett here in this best of 3. Big map for this map too. Let's see what happens. Top left, down a game. Our red Zerg player is Scarlett from the Shopify Rebellion. Taking on the blue Protoss in the bottom right hand side, PtitDrogo. Game 2. See if he can get another win, as he really just held on well and really identified the moment where he's like, oh, you're weak now. You just used all of your Banes. You did not get enough done. And then went and took full advantage of that pretty much straight away after. So let's see what goes down on Cosmic Sapphire, guys. You look at the map and it's pretty big, quite frankly. I mean, it's a bit of a narrow ramp. I always find this position very interesting. It's not going to come into play every time, but I feel like there's got to be some games where it's not just like you walk out of your natural choke, then you can spread out. Like, you've got to go through a massive choke. I really feel like there's at some point going to be games where people get sieged in this position and they just do not let anyone out of their natural. And then everyone's like, oh, how the hell do I leave my natural? Well, you don't leave your natural, right? That's the problem. And it's not happened yet since these maps have started being played in ESL Open Cups and stuff. Not that I've seen, at least, but I feel like it's only got to be a matter of time, right? Surely it's only a matter of time until that happens. I feel like people are going to complain when it happens. I can already feel it. Hidden Sky Machine, thank you so much for the 2-year resub on the Prime. Much appreciated. Thank you again for supporting the channel. Even though we've been gone for a couple weeks, tried to take a vacation after Valencia. Wasn't very good at it. Doesn't help when you come back home with COVID. Well, John and Probe fighting here as this game 2 isn't really going just yet. We're waiting on the cyber core to be done. That should give Drogo a tech choice to make, and once he's made that tech choice, that's when we will know a little bit more about how this game starts looking, right? So, as for that, is a Stargate. Okay, well, that's not too surprising. I guess now we kind of go back to the waiting game of, is it just going to be, you know, Oracles again? Is it going to be 3 Oracles again? Where exactly is he going to go with this Stargate setup? More of the same, or switch it up a whole bunch? He does truly have a couple of options. Yo, Stranger in a Strange Land, thank you so much for the 27-month resub as well. Appreciate it. Oracle is Chrono Boost now. What's Skull gonna do this time around? Again, just start off with that melee last time. Never really found enough success with the Ling Bane. Speed is going to be finishing shortly. Just going to have that Overlord hanging overhead and this one probe. Go across and apparently not build a Nexus. There we go. So yes, I'd be surprised if he didn't build one. That's a really fast third base though, isn't it? I mean, that's just a third off of, well, just the Stargate and, what, 2 Adepts? So, 1 Oracle, 2 Adepts, third base. Second Oracle will pop to help defend. And we'll probably need to if Scarlett had built any amount of units here. But she doesn't have Lings on the map as of just now. The Oracle moves forward, but you can see how afraid he is of potentially lings just having been made. Because he doesn't go across the map with one Oracle. He waits for at least two, and he's like, okay, haven't seen lings yet, haven't seen a reason to stay at home, so let's actually move forward and try to do something. So in we go. Aim for a couple of these drones. Okay, 3, 4 already. Not bad. And it's been good control on the Oracles from Drogo as well. He's been able to keep them alive for a pretty sizable amount of time, which definitely goes a long way. That's about halfway done, by the way, from Scarlett as she moves into Roach Run and Overlord speed again. This almost... Gmail gases. It almost feels like she builds Overlords right now as well, as though she might even have something kind of planned. That Overlord speed just has me thinking, like, are we potentially going to see something like a Queen drop with, like, roaches running across the map? As the lair finishes, you can spread creep with the Overlord, which means you can transfuse with the Queens as well. The only thing that's saying no to me right now on that is that she doesn't actually have that many, or that much gas to build, like, a bunch of roaches with. Could have been a possibility. She is actually going to morph some Dropper Lords, though. Okay. Maybe just Roach drops. Maybe it doesn't need to be, like, Queens dropping here. She's just not going to have that many Roaches, but maybe she does. Just put the Queens in there, and then we go, like, Roach Ling. It's just I just don't feel like the Roach count's very high, but it's also only 5.5 minutes in the game, so I guess it doesn't need to be very high. Especially with the speed of this third base, a lot of Drogo's other tech was sacrificed for that. The Dark Shrine doesn't really help you either because... well, Scarlett's playing that lair already, so she already has the Overseer available. So she might not have one right now, but she can morph one in if DTs are a thing, so you can get an answer to DTs. You can continue to attack even if DTs try to defend. That's a pretty big deal. Here we come. Drop Lords are going to lead the charge. And coming through here, a couple Queens dropping down. The Oracle already taking some hits. Super Battery obviously pops out immediately. Now, that's just a lot of lings, and they're actually going to start going after the battery plus the bios, and we are going to start making short work of these Stalkers too now that the batteries are gone. Oh, the battery's not going to last very long at all. Scarlett is going to make her way through this with ease, it would seem. As the DTs try and save the day, basically. There's the first Overseer morphing in, and that's pretty much the one thing we do need right now to try and solidify this position and this W for Scarlett if she can get it. She's equal on workers as she's killed 14. She's still triple the army supply. Charge about to be done. Is it going to be enough? Again, there's the Overseer, so now we morph those DTs into an Archon to just try and get proper usage out of them, but it's just going to be difficult. Scarlett still has so many units, and I think that's where she will just win the game. The Prism and Micro, these high-tech, expensive units out of the way of trouble as well. And that is going to be GG's. Scarlett is going to take game number 2 and tie the series up 1-1. 1-1 tied up, and in the top left-hand side is going to be our red Zerg player. This is going to be Scarlett. Nice Scarlett kind of getting right quick, aggressive. Season opening, exploits it. Very nicely handled. Is in the bottom right-hand corner. Our Blue Protoss player is PtitDrogo. Well, then, a few moments of seeing where we go once again. Moondance, that in-base, backward base. Let's see if that comes to fruition for anybody in this game. Probably just a 4th for the Zerg, nice and quickly. We shouldn't expect 3 bases to be taken using that. You already see the forward expansion from Scarlett because of the pro block over here, so be very surprised if that backward base ended up in use. I was going to see our spawn pool then is about halfway done. This Hatcher on the low ground coming up nice, and again, we'll see if Drogo changes it up in terms of the Oracles, because that's something which he is now committed to a couple times over at this point, right? So he's been just kind of following the same kind of thing, same kind of ideas. Nothing too crazy in that regard, which is Kind of fun. It's worked once. It's been killed once as well. I mean, last game he was very greedy, right? He was absolutely looking to be very feisty, very aggressive, so... It's gonna have a couple queens continue to build. That pro production finishing and link speed. Starting up here from Scarlett to getting that underway. A couple queens, lings, drones all coming out. And the Stargate of PtitDrogo building in the main base as well already. Get that up and online. Stalker is about to pop out. It's going to go after this Overlord. And I'm just going to push that away. Let's try and hide the information of what tech structure this is as long as possible. So Overlord doesn't have a good place to hide, right? No pillar on this map to kind of hide your Overlord on. So you can see that Skull kind of flies this way, and the moment that it's safe in this direction, it starts flying bottom right. A couple of lings here will distract the Stalker too, so that Overlord will absolutely be okay. And can at least sit behind here and maybe get a scout on this backward base, maybe come to check the gases on the natural at some point. Skull positioning that to be able to get as much information with it as possible at basically an important part in time in a little while. Speed's about to finish up. Queens and drones all continuing through, and we do have that Nexus just coming up on the natural. Yeah, in-base natural. So that's the in-base 3 base. I don't think that's so crazy for Protoss, especially if you're happy on 5 gas, then you're only really missing out on 2 mineral patches, and there's a lot to be said. I mean, there's the safety of being able to take that third so quickly, right? Being able to basically just crank out a bunch of units super early on. There's a huge amount of value in that, if nothing else, right? So that alone is pretty notable. Comes back around here into the center. Just going to be seeing a couple of simulators still coming online. The warp gate is about to finish up. We do have Oracle number 3 again, building from Drogo. Has been very reliant on these oracles. Has been something he's really stood by. And continues to do so right now as we do have them moving up this left-hand side. 4 drones, but loses an Oracle, and was praising him for keeping his Oracles alive in earlier games. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to do that this time. As we do get a 5th drone kill. And now you got a question. It's like, well, do I build another Oracle and delay some of my other tech to get back to 3, or do I just accept I've lost 1, play with 2? Just means you can't quite be as aggressive from here on out, while also being kind of as safe back at home, right? So, it does create a couple of intriguing questions. Right now, it's maybe a question of how do you get these 2 oracles to actually gather together, because that might be kind of nice. So it's just going to see coming in. We get 1 more kill. Saves the oracle. The other one on the other side just can't really find the opening, though. Gonna go charge again. Drogo has been, I mean, I think in the first game I was like, oh, blink, right? But he's just been kind of continuously going into charge and building into basically charge auto mod lock on. It's not quite the modern day kind of way to kind of build into this matchup. Extra gates all coming online. And there's the Temple Archives coming up as well. I'm going to drop down a pylon on the left side of this Nexus too. I'm going to drop a couple of gates down over there. And the wings that will get in. It has a lot of extra gates that are on the way up right now. And all these gates kick in. I mean, there is a good work count here from Drogo. It's Scott's work count we should be really looking at. And these gates kicking in time to save Drogo from this onslaught, because there's Scarlett. Let's cut the units, and she's come across the map. She's going to kill another Oracle here, so that's now only 1 Oracle left. That's kind of sad, actually, because, again, you've invested triple Oracle, but now you've only got 1 of them, and that might just be a reason why this game could end very quickly, because Scarlett's now starting to march into this natural expansion. A couple of Archons will have a lot of work to do here. I feel like Corrosive Files maybe killed actually more Lings than anything else right there. A little awkward as we now take down a couple of pylons. The Archon's still holding the choke point where possible. Zealot's trying to charge on forward. The Ling's coming around the right-hand side. More Corrosive Files dropping in, getting a Ling or so. Queen's just doing what they can as well as our Nexus on this location. I don't know if it's going to be able to survive. It just feels like Drogo has no damage output. That super battery is putting in work. I don't think Scarlett can reach it to really shut it down just yet. But then once that battery's gone, if these units can't stay alive, which I don't see how they would, I mean, Drogo just already feels like he's not really killing much. Battery actually has its regular healing currently ongoing. Obviously, if we get rid of this robo facility too, that's even less tech units on the map and even less chance of making something of this. The Lings dive into the main. Don't do too well. This Immortal does get out as we lose the Nexus as well. We are kind of running out of units though. I mean, the Archons and the Immortals have survived long enough that Drogo will push this back and hold, but he lost a base. And it's not just like you're getting set back to 2 base, you're getting set back to kind of 1.5 base right now because this is only 1 gas, so yeah. If that was the base with only 1 gas in the front, maybe it's a little bit more okay, but now you're only mining 3 gases right now. You're not playing a style that really wants to play off 3 gases. You want the gas to morph those Archons in, etc. Right now, supply block 2, and yeah, Pylon only just started. Obviously, the Nexus was way far away from finishing, so that wasn't going to get the job done. Immortal Archon with the Zealot's going to pull back down the center. Extra Archon showing up, and these couple of overbeats from Scarlett are going to be pulling away. Drogo just going to try and get reset and rebuilding, but once more, Scarlett just finds an opportunity to be very aggressive at the right time, gets a lot done with it, and finds herself in a great position to maybe round this series out 2-1 in her favor. It's got to spire up, and she will start some meter production. She didn't have a lot of gas, and now supply blocked, so a couple of things going on. It's going to slow Scarlett down here. As these 2 Zealots turn back up the left-hand side. Archon show up. Just going to be aiming and killing off that Overlord. A couple more biles going down. Just going to see the units of Drogo turning back away, pulling back over to the bottom right corner again. 6 meters continuing up. Missile upgrade. More Ravages, more Roaches, all of that continuing into play as we do have gateways of Drogo continuing to come online here. Just going to have our Lings down the right-hand side looking for maybe a dart into one of these mineral lines. Phoenix is still keeping an eye on the rest of this army as well. Roach Ravager from Scarlett. She knows she's killed a base, right? So she knows in theory there should be a timing here where Drogo's been down a base he should have had, so she should have a much stronger army. That's fought by the couple Phoenix, lifting up a couple of those Ravagers. Just the 7 meters on the map, which are now going to find their way on the natural, so while the Phoenix are making use of themselves elsewhere, now they actually are needed for their main purpose back over here. And at the same time, Scott's going to try and make something happen up this ramp, cause down the battery that was out of energy, but takes away super battery potential on that location. Scarlett is going to be supply blocked again. A few meters going after probes, and a few of them targeting the Phoenix down, so we've got a bit of a split going on. Well, and actually the Phoenix are starting to die. This fight over here continues as well. The back and forth, Drogo has dipped below 100 supply in this game, and now losing one of the 2 Archons that was still stood with this army, loses the other one, and that's a lot of the splash damage now disappear, and the 2 Immortals might be the one thing that can still stand strong in this, but it definitely feels like Drogo's losing a lot of the tech, but she just needed to be keeping alive. He's about to finish up Storm, but he does not have any High Templar, which means he doesn't have any Storm energy ready to go. Even if you warp in High Templar right now, that's a huge expense that's just not immediately going to be that useful, in fact. Get rid of a Zealot to Sentry, taking some shots. Stalkers, Immortal's going to turn around. The Ravagers, taking some extra hits here. More Biles coming on through. See how Ling is going to go slip by into this mineral line, and that's going to be probes that are going to get hunted. So a lot of probes taking a lot of damage. Crystal File's going down. Super battery active as well, and we forced in Zealots over here. Scarlett's just up so much army supply still. It's been this kind of constant back and forth. It's been this constant affair of which way will it go, but I think in the end Scarlett's just had a bit too much throughout, and that's definitely seeming to be truly apparent right now as we continue up here. Roaches, Ravagers continuing in, Stalkers taking a lot of damage. A couple extra units warping in, but this should just be a little bit too much, I think. I mean, Roach is coming from the side as well. Are these Immortals actually going to make a hold here? We are killing a lot of probes in the natural as well. 13 have gone down. I just don't think these Immortals have enough. These units, once they break to the high ground, and they're much more open space, so kind of swarming around those Immortals becomes a lot easier. GG, Scarlett 2-1 over Drogo here.